Welcome to In Moderation,
the show where we give you a moderate dose of info, sarcasm, and we already know we're not approved.
I think I'm going to get a fake natty accusation from Greg Doucette for the weirdest strength feat.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh.
he has the hardest time believing that on grip dynameters that I'm squeezing 200. I've shown him twice now, and both times he's like, "That's abnormal. You should get a new machine." I don't know about that, bro.
The only person I've ever had genuinely accuse me of steroids is this person called Freely the Banana Girl.
Oh
And,
yeah.
Who doesn't know Freely?
Okay, well, I don't know. Some people, it's kind of older stuff now, but it's the only person
5 or
that's
6
ever.
years.
Yeah, she was. I think it was like 4 years ago when she made that
4
video,
years.
but it's the only like legit like. Everyone else is like, no, he's probably natural. And I'm like, come on, man.
Let me have this.
Come on, accuse me, man.
Right.
Jacques.
The natty or nots are just the dumbest shit, but like it works, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's, like
It's the Jersey Shore of fitness content.
Yeah, got the drama and everything like that. What is it about a natty or not that is so enticing to people? I guess okay, so it's got the mystery. People always love kind of like a good mystery, and it's got a debate around it. People like to debate each other on pretty much anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of got this divisive thing. But like is it what else is it? Like why who cares?
I think part of it is the dynamic of, well, do we deserve to know? Right. And then there's that argument of if someone is especially in the fitness space, are they required to disclose that? And then there's I don't know. I think there's just a lot of layers as to the argument as to whether or not it's deserved to know. I think that's a big part of it. Like what interests people. But yeah, I mean, it's not something I really care too much about, but it definitely works. It's definitely
When you're going into it and somebody has what you don't have, they have a physique that you're building towards, and you have struggled in any way. For a lot of people, it's an affirmation of their suspicion, whether it's true or not. Oh, they only have that because they cheated, so I can feel better about me. I can feel better about my accomplishments or my struggles. I could do that too if I was on steroids. Every person who's ever said that is because they're not doing as well as they want to, and they're looking for that affirmation or that confirmation that they're correct in some way. But there's also just straight up, people love to watch other people fight.
yeah.
And
Right, that's a big part of it for certain.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why
throw out
wrestling
the
still
whole-
exists.
Yeah, we love a good argument about anything, but this one is just an interesting one. I think what you said is accurate there about we want a lot of people want them to be on steroids because then you can say, oh well, that's why. So I feel
then
like
you can dismiss.
you can just be like, oh well, obviously. I think if you took a poll, most the people who are aren't as muscular as the person would say they're on steroids, and the people who are more muscular than them would probably say they're not on steroids because it's just what if they're bigger than me, probably steroids. I kind of feel like that's a kind of knee-jerk reaction for a lot, not for everyone, but for a lot of people.
I would say that was the bulk of the conversation until the last few years. One of the benefits of, it's a very small silver lining, of
the gray lining.
of all of this discussion is kind of a calibration and an understanding of roughly what kind of difference steroids makes. And people understanding that even if you're on steroids, now people understand the nuance of there are responders, non-responders, and everyone in between. Now they're understanding to what extent genetics can play a role. When you say genetics is only 10%, 10% is huge when you're differentiating between endpoints. 10% is massive. That's the Olympia stage, and the best looking guy in the gym is 10%. So we understand way more about it, and at least in this portion of the pendulum swing, where we've come away from complete vilification and you must hide it, and we swang all the way over into
Celebrating
let's glorify
Is
it.
that
Celebrate.
because of social
Yeah.
media? Do you think
We're
that's
swinging
because
it back.
because we're accepting it more because of social media, and people
Yeah.
are going on social media saying, hey, yeah, no, this is awesome, do it.
Exactly like exposure therapy. Instead of like, yes, I do this. I want to be accountable and I want you to have realistic expectations. They're like, nah, man, even if you're taking clomiphene citrate, that's just stimulating your testes, okay?
Yeah, that doesn't even count.
HGH is just stimulating your pituitary glands. You're still natty, even though you've got testosterone of 12 to 1500.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. There's just like, I mean, I'm sure you guys have all seen it, but there's like people whose their whole social media thing is I am on steroids.
Yeah.
That's just their whole thing, you know, and it encourages. It's weird because at first it was like when someone was actually talking about it and they were honest about it, it was refreshing. And it was like, man, finally someone is coming out and being honest. Right. But now it's at the point where it's like, it's so common that there's like 17-year-olds that are like, should I take steroids? And like, I have people coming up to me in the gym, you know, and like asking like, have you ever taken anything? I was thinking about, I'm like, dude, you've been working out for a year, dude. Like, why are you thinking about this already? But it's, I guarantee part of it.
I work with teenagers and they come to me with that shit all the time.
It's a fine line between that, like coming out a few people. Let's take a Noel Diesel or whatever, like a really popular fitness influencer who says like, hey, I'm massive. I'm a giant boulder. Like, yes, I take steroids. I'm not going to tell you what I take because I don't want people replicating this. I just want to be open and honest. And people were like, cool. I totally understand that. And I have a lot of respect for that. And then it slowly shifted into like every 17-year-old, but like, how can I get a hold of X, Y, and Z, whatever it is?
I just came across a TikTok account who it's literally nothing else. He named himself the peptides guy. Like, and that's all he does is and I watched him for an hour, and any substance that someone brought up, he's like, yeah, you should try that. Oh yeah, you should try that. Use my code. And it was all about getting people to go ahead and use his affiliate code for, I believe the company was Research Chems. They've popped up before. They're problematic. They're the ones who send a bunch of junk to Togi, and he's killing himself.
So do you know like what's up with that? Like those kind of companies, do they get around the law by saying like this isn't for human consumption, or like
that's literally all they have to do? Yeah.
Interesting.
Because they're not scheduled. They're test chemicals, and you don't at this time, in order to have a test chemical that is not for human consumption, you don't currently need a license in order to receive them. You can get in trouble if you're administering them to people. And I suppose in some states they could try and get you on self-harm if you're administering it to yourself. But outside of that, the worst that's going to happen to you is you get bounced out of a competition because you cheated using PEDs.
Huh, that's interesting.
And you know, side effects, kidney failure, heart failure,
do they like just
growth.
show up with like, hey, this isn't for you to inject, but if you did, this is how you would go about it? Like, is like,
that really did one of Peptide Guy's TikToks.
Yep.
He says, I'm not telling you to put this in your body, but if you were to do research with this, you know, inject it into an orange, this is how you would turn the powder into the proper soluble liquid.
Interesting. That's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Terrifying, but also
they don't even have to try hard.
It's terrifying when people reconstitute them wrong.
Yeah. I don't even...
That's Darwinism. That's
survival of the fittest. Is that just like we just have the raw milk debate again, where it's just kind of like, oh
gosh.
Yeah, I mean,
we had a kid lose a chunk of his glute recently. You know, he was 20 years old. He'd been on for at least 2 years. He looked between, you know, Liam's age and my age, whatever your actual age is. I don't know. You look young.
33, I want to say. I don't remember at this point.
You 69. Don't remember your age?
I don't remember. I feel like 32. I mean, like between I'm like 32, 33, or 34. I'm always kind of just like, I know within 3 years of my age.
Okay. I thought you were like 25. So he looks. I'm 46, and he looks about 34, 35 years old. At 20, he's on so much shit. Yeah. But he gave himself MRSA in his own ass because he kept pinning up at the gym.
MRSA's horrible.
He survived. We caught it in time. We knew what it was. We saw it and we're like, you need to go to the effing hospital. He went to the hospital. They removed a chunk the size of my fist from his glute.
Oh,
wow.
Yep.
We need accounts dedicated to that. Just like to those things happening, just so people can see that. And they're like, oh, that peptides guy doesn't seem as interesting anymore.
We could call it cautionary fails.
Cautionary. We'll probably get into some issues with like moderation and showy videos and like all of that sort of stuff. But I feel like we'd be doing a service.
Go 18
Oh,
plus, pay wallet for like 5 cents a month. So
don't worry,
it's technically
Liam.
paid content.
Those dings you heard just now were your texts finally getting to me. Apparently, your texts were stuck in traffic too.
Yeah, I texted. I was like, I'm stuck in rush hour traffic. I will be there at some point. Yeah, that's
At some
good.
point.
It's yeah. That's fucking wild. The whole like just steroids thing to me is, I get why like it's enticing, especially at a young male age. You're 18, like you see all the the social media and whatnot, but there's just so many downsides, and like you don't see that from like the people who are promoting it on social media.
It's like usually the downsides take a while, and that's the problem.
That's fair.
And then they're so embarrassed they don't want to talk about them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And you see like we've seen a lot of bodybuilders, and what, like there was a woman even who passed away, who died. She was very young at the Arnold this year.
At the Arnold, yeah, she was 20.
Jesus.
20?
Yeah.
Man,
Wow.
And that was, I don't know I don't remember the exact reason. but
Dehydration
yeah,
from diuretics,
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
which
And-
she didn't even compete that weekend. She was just on diuretics and prep for something.
Oh, really? That I
Yeah.
didn't know. Okay. That's crazy.
That was the crazy part. She went there as an attendee and died.
And there was another one where someone passed away at one of these transformation events, where it was like a bodybuilding show, but they had like the transformation division,
Yeah.
which is like people that have lost a lot of weight. And yeah, it's weird. Like that whole thing is weird. Like there's the transformation division, which is cool in my mind, right? People that have lost a lot of weight, or they've even had people in wheelchairs, people have been burned or whatever. But there are people that are doing these divisions that are also openly doing steroids, and I'm like, that feels wrong to me. Like that just doesn't feel right. Like that just, like this guy won, and he's like sitting there flexing, and the guy next to him is in a wheelchair, and I'm like, that doesn't feel right. Like he beat the guy. It just, I don't know. Like, yeah, you shouldn't just automatically win if you're in a wheelchair. That's fair, but it just doesn't feel right to me. That just feels a little weird to me. But
Yeah.
it's interesting.
So what are we talking about tonight?
I don't know.
I know. Hey, Liam.
Hey, Rob.
I found my pencil.
You found your pen. That's well. See that now we just end it. All right,
There
okay,
we
bye,
go.
everyone. Like Rob got his pencil. I
got
that's
my
all we need
pencil.
to let people know.
Don't be your worst.
Is that a euphemism? Should I be concerned?
if you want to be.
Tonight on the show, we've got these two. I'll let them introduce themselves. I'm going to go get a drink.
Bro, we'll talk for an hour. It'll
Yeah,
be fine.
that's true. You want to go first? You can go first.
Oh, are we actually starting?
Oh, yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
All right, only 14 minutes in. What's up, guys? It is Kevin from Pure Bullfit, and I am honored to be on the same screen with my good friends Rob, my sort of kind of salty acquaintance Liam, and my dear child John Cloud, obese to beast.
Hello. I also have the honor to be sharing the screen with all of these three lovely individuals. My name is John, or Obese to Beast. Walking on a walking pad. If it gets annoying, I apologize.
For those
got
of you who
the,
are enjoying this on a podcast, two of us have amazing hair, one of us has an amazing beard, and the other guy is here.
Well, I think my hair is pretty nice, but it's fine.
This episode, we basically brought the old folks out of the old folks home.
Yeah, you did.
I mean, between you two have been on social media a combination of like 50 years now.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Why don't you guys just tell us? I want to hear some stories. So, like when you started out, and like it had not social media, how like the fitness industry was, like when you were starting.
Back in my day.
Yeah, I went back in my
God,
day.
The back in
I
my
literally-
day. It's I mean, so like so for those of you that don't know, my name's Obese to Beast. That's like my name on social media, and that came about in 2014. Was the first time I made a page that was called Obese to Beast. Which the reason that I did that was because I was losing weight at the time. If you don't know, I used to be 400 pounds, lost a lot of weight, right? And at the time, Instagram was not brand new, but it wasn't old yet. Now it's kind of old.
Cool.
It was still cool, and you couldn't post videos. You couldn't post stories. It was literally just posts. And I felt bad that every post that I was posting at the time was weight loss stuff. And I was like, you know what? Let me make another page that is only weight loss, and I can post as much as I want. And at the time, it was very normal to post 3 times a day. because there was no stories. There was no other way to post. Right. And so I was like, okay, what's a name? And I was like thinking, and I just came up with Obese Beast because I thought it sounded kind of nice. It didn't rhyme, but it was smooth. And I was like, okay, cool. But at that point, like there wasn't like a fitness thing on social media, really. Like the only real fitness thing there was, I don't know how many of you guys remember this, there's this thing called Shreds. And It's very weird because at the time, not long after I started, there started coming out stories about the stuff that Shreds people were doing. And one of the people that was really big back then is now even bigger now, and it's just very weird, the juxtaposition. But we don't have to get into that. But yeah, so like when I started though, like it wasn't like I'm gonna be an influencer. That moniker didn't really exist yet. And so like when I started, it was truly like I just want to post and not feel bad about annoying my friends and family. So I'll just make a page and post whatever I want. And there was no algorithm that you thought of. It was just sharing your story, right? And it's been very interesting feeling like I kind of started from the beginning and seeing how much things have changed over the years. Because things now, like I do struggle, like for sure, with staying on top of things because of how much it evolves so much now. And like things are changing so rapidly. And so it's definitely been very interesting as being someone that's seen as like, a dinosaur, an OG or whatever word you want to use, like because I have been doing this for so long. But I am appreciative of the fact that I started when I did, because it definitely helps me and grounds me in like, I know why I started, and that's why I try to continue doing what I'm doing. Right. I don't know if I really answered the question there, but
you did. Yeah, spot on, dude. The irony is that I started technically in 2018, and I've got like 15, almost 20 years on John. But he was one of the first people that I watched. I started watching because I was trying to learn about strongman. I got out of the Marine Corps and I fell in love with strongman and powerlifting. And there were a few content creators that covered that. Mostly powerlifting, very little.
Yeah, strongman,
on strongman. But there was Alan Thrall, back in 2013, he started his channel and I followed him, and I actually got to meet him at California's Strongest Man, an event I was helping to run and he was competing at. And he's a really good dude, and, rubbed elbows ever since. Kept up with him through his many strange phases. And it's like John was like the next year I was like, oh, look at this incredible kid. You were doing CrossFit at the time, like a lot of CrossFit. And I didn't have a particularly good opinion of CrossFit, but I liked you. So I could deal with CrossFit as long as I was watching.
I think a lot of people don't have a great opinion of CrossFit.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of that is actually the fault of NSCA that falsified the injurious rates in their study, and they got sued for it. So, while Greg Glassman is a piece of work, and I think that the level of knowledge that you need to have to be a level 1 certified trainer and open a gym is embarrassingly and shamefully low. 2 days, 9 movements, $1,000. That's what it was when I was looking at it. I hope it's improved, because that is pathetic. But a lot of things rapidly changed over the years. I started off as a drama content channel because I was following a bad example, an individual that John and I both know, and we learned valuable lessons from.
It's not even worth to mention it, honestly.
No.
Truly.
I know how you feel. When I'm on here or when I'm anywhere else, I have no problem being very specific about who I'm talking about. But I respect your generally non-confrontational position, and I will not put you in a bad spot.
Maybe I'm just a weenie, but I just don't even.
You're not a weenie. You're a solid, smooth dude who doesn't need the friction. Me, I want that smoke all day long. I'm just waiting for one of these fools to open their mouth.
Well, you started as a drama channel, so I feel like you still at least have some of that in you, right?
I got a lot of fight in me, but when I realized within the first 2 years that I was looking for things to have a problem with instead of addressing problems that already existed, I felt dirty and I stopped. And I've never really come back to it as anything more than a hobby since. I online coach. I work with some amazing student athletes, and I make content when I want. Which that way the pressure is never to catch up, as John was talking about. I've never felt it, and nothing bad has ever happened to me in social media. When Eric and Carrie was trying to like make negative videos about me because I had the audacity to defend athlete X, I didn't care. When he was like, really, really just desperately calling for attention, I didn't care. When the person that I formerly worked with, that John's aware of, literally tried to subvert and attack my family to punish me for not making the content drama style the way that he wanted because he considered me his protege. He's the only person on the list who's on site, him and two of his moderators. I'll handle that, but that's not going to be on a channel. That's not going to be drama content. That's going to be one conversation and two fists. That's all it's going to be. That's a far cry from where I'm at now, where I'm looking at an increasingly sedentary society, which I've always acknowledged, and very simple solutions, a much more delicate economy where people don't have the funds to, or easy access to medical interventions, medications, etc. And I'm thinking to myself, shit, we better focus down on what we can do now, what we can do to help mitigate and prevent through healthy living, eating, and activity, not shaming people because they're fat or they don't want to work out, but encouraging folks to become more active, to reduce instances of heart disease, insulin sensitivity or insensitivity that leads to diabetes, or all bone density loss, or all of the things that we would normally go, oh, I'll just go get a doctor to give me medication for that, which in the current political climate is going to be less and less available. So that's where my focus is now. And it's a stark turn from scouring the internet going, who can I fuck with today? Oh, who can I compare to a melted candle or an unshaved scrotum or any of the other awful things I used to say that people loved and paid me money to say. Missed the cash.
That was actually how me and Kevin met. He compared me to an unshaven scrotum, and it was a little weird, but you know, it's all good. It's water under the bridge now.
Then you shaved your head, and everybody hated it. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you ever get details on whose unshaven scrotum that you?
That's classified information.
Oh, okay.
I showed him at the time.
Yeah, no, but like in all seriousness, no, it's been very interesting, like seeing the shift, and like when I guess when I talk about like content creation, my brain goes to YouTube because that's my main thing, right? That wasn't my first thing. Like I said, Instagram was my first thing, but eventually I went to YouTube basically within a few months, right? And I've been there ever since, right? And that's my main source of income. That's my job, right? I like consider myself a YouTuber, I guess. I don't really like the moniker influencer. I don't think anyone's like, I want to call myself an influencer. I love that term. I don't think anyone really loves it, but
if you talk to Gen Z or Gen Alpha, they straight up say, I want to be an influencer.
Okay, well then maybe I'm just
Shred. I don't know. He probably has.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy. Carry on.
But like it was interesting because at the time, right, when like I was coming up, because this was, you know, now it's been a year, 15, 16, it was vlogs, right? That was the most prevalent, as far as I was concerned, fitness content. It was very like aspirational kind of content where people started following those who they wanted to emulate. And I even garnered a following kind of based on that, right? People saw because I started my channel after I had pretty much lost all my weight, because I lost my weight before social media was what it is now. I mean, it was around, but you know, I'm 32 now. I was 20 when I started losing weight. So it's 12 years ago, right? Social media just wasn't what it is now. And so
you were still on
when I started
AOL
my
Instant
channel,
Manager,
it was like I had
Messenger going, hey guys, I lost 30 pounds
exactly.
today.
Yeah. And it took 30 minutes to load the screen.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that was the worst, man. When you'd like want to play a game and you'd be on like nick.com and it'd take 20 minutes and then someone would call and then the screen, it was like, no. But that's besides the point. But yeah, so like it was like aspirational content that I think people like wanted to kind of emulate, but it wasn't overly produced content, right?
Yeah.
It was aspirational, but aspirational in a sense of like, I'm just gonna, like, this person kind of knows what they're talking about. They have a pretty nice physique and I appreciate that. And I want to emulate that. It wasn't that person has a $14 million, you know, home and they have 4 cars and like, you know, because now if you look at vlogs now, what does well is for the most part is that, you know, there's some outliers. Like I think of like Sam Sulik, I think is how you say his last
Sam
name, right?
Sulik. He does old school vlogs.
When you said vlogs,
It's
I was like,
for
that's immediately where my brain went to. It's like, oh, like a Sam Sulik type.
Yeah. But he reminds me of how it was back in the day, kind of,
be.
right? Very raw, I get was a term we would use a lot.
That was everybody.
Yeah. And that's how it was, right? And so, but then like even for me, I've shifted my content quite a bit because I was doing like vlogs and then I got into CrossFit. I was doing a lot of CrossFit stuff. And then I kind of started, as Kevin kind of came up, I was riding that same wave of being drama, I guess you could call it. Like I would say like what I do, I've gone like kind of like this when it comes to that kind of content. Like there was a time in my life when I was just really sucked into it around 2020, 2021 was when that was the best my channel ever did. But it was like Kevin was saying, it was like just searching for people to almost not make fun of, but almost kind of make fun of. Right. And like, it got to a point where for me, I started to really struggle with it as well. I ended up, I pivoted not as much as Kevin did. Like I was like, all right, I'm going down this road. I'm just going to kind of, you know what I mean? Like just kind of switch over and like try to do a little bit better job of like always trying to like with my content now. I don't know how many people watch my videos, right? But I try to meet the people where they're at as much as I can and offer solutions instead of just, you're an idiot. This is stupid. Why would you do that? It's like, hey, I get why you'd feel that way, but like maybe try this. Maybe this would be a better option, right? And I'm not perfect, and I'm sure there's people that are like, his videos aren't like that at all. He's super hateful. It is what it is, like at this point. But I try my best to be as like respectful with the platform that I have because I do appreciate it a lot. And so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now.
Do you think the drama is like the same level as it was when you started? Is it less? Is it more? Is it just different?
I'd say it's just different. And a big part of that is because once people start to notice something working, there's more people that are doing it. Right. And so now there's so many people that are making very similar content that it's just different. And there are people that are making similar content that are fine with going to 11 and just being like saying stuff that for me, I'm like, that's crazy that you would say that on camera. And that you would be okay with putting that out there about another person, but they don't care, right? And so people are like, well, I want to watch that. I want to watch the extreme version. And so like a frequent like criticism that I get on my channel is like, oh, you're too nice. You're just too nice. And I'm like, I'd rather that than like, what? Fair. How could you say that? You know what I mean? Like that's the worst thing I've ever heard, right? So if people say I'm too nice, that's a criticism I'll take, I
get that criticism quite a lot.
Yeah. No, your content is very like very different, but like it reminds like the way that you speak about stuff. It's clear you disagree, but you're not like, hey, you freaking idiot. Why would you do this? It's like,
well, except for the videos where he's like, hey, you freaking idiot.
Some of them, I mean, there's people that are people all the way down the rabbit hole.
Sometimes people deserve it. Yeah, sometimes people deserve it.
I don't give a shit. Like, let's just have some fun. And
Liam is very measured. Mm-hmm. He is measured in his response. He pushes back to an extent that I have never been uncomfortable with something that he said, and he usually attacks the idea, not the person. I think that's really important.
But my goal has always been like take the idea, bring it to its extreme, and have people realize how stupid it is. Oh, they're saying that canned food is terrible. Yes, Americans are eating too many canned vegetables. That's why we're unhealthy. No,
we should bring it back to a reasonable spot.
Yeah, so that people go, oh yeah, no, that is stupid. Like just to bring it to its ultimate. That's what like comedy is, right? Especially just bring it to its most extreme conclusion. Then we all kind of laugh at it.
What John does that I really have always loved, and that he does better than any other commentary channel, which is essentially what he is now. Is he remembers that the person that he's talking about is a person. He speaks to what they may be thinking. And when they push back and somebody has said something about you, you're one of the only people I've ever seen go, I can see how you would think that, or I can see why you'd feel that way, or maybe you're right about that. I don't see people doing that. He has a conversation. When I see people like just absolutely there's a guy named Mudpit Bubba, John Bravo that are talking about wannabe alpha males right now. It's the zeitgeist that's going on right now on YouTube. And I can only stand so much of them because so much of their criticism of these guys who very much deserve criticism is to make homophobic essay jokes, denigrate women by comparing these guys' worst flaws to being like women, stuff like that. And I'm just like, you know what, guys, you had me. You had a point, and you keep losing me with this. And it's why I can't, I can't support them or recommend them because but they wouldn't be getting the views that they are. They wouldn't be building if they weren't doing that, because there's so many people that appeals to. And there's so many people that would never say it themselves, but they are happy to watch somebody else say it. And they are happy to click like and happy to keep that energy out there, because while they may have those feelings on the inside of them, they lack the intestinal fortitude to actually express them and be held accountable for them. So there's always going to be somebody willing for money to step up and say the thing that a bunch of terrible people are thinking about somebody else.
Yeah. I always think about that. What's the one dude that's always just he was on the middle ground or whatever. We've talked about him before. He's just like super fat phobic. He's like,
Oh, is it the fresh and fit guys?
He's like, we should put fat people in like concentration camps, like
Yeah,
that sort of extreme.
Yeah, it's one of those guys, the fresh and fit guys.
I always forget his name. I get tagged in his videos a lot. I'm like, I don't even know what to do with this fucking absolute just trash. Like, it's clearly he's just saying the most extreme things possible to get views, and it does. It gets views.
Yeah, and it's the engagement that he's actually after, because if you get the comments, even if they're negative comments, and Greg Doucette does this really well, say just enough inflammatory crap to keep people continue to talk about you, and you'll continue to profit. It doesn't matter if people hate you, because the platforms, regardless of which platform you're on, they don't care if you're happy on the platform. Yeah. They just want you on the platform.
Right.
And rage works better. Rage baiting is extremely effective, which is why I came to the conclusion, I guess, right around 2021. It's amazing, close calls with mortality, the perspective it gives you. I came to the realization that I would rather inform, educate, and support 10,000 people and squeak by than entertain 100,000 and be rich. So, like, do I miss the former size of the AdSense checks? Yes, sort of. Do I sleep a hell of a lot better and have absolutely no regrets about the things that I get to say now? Yes, and that's a lot better.
And it's also this balance. Like you brought up Greg Doucette. Like I remember, like if you go back to his first videos, he didn't even like talk like he does now. For anyone listening who hasn't heard Greg Doucette, he talks like the parrot from Aladdin, and like that's a voice that he does, and he did it like a couple times, and he's talked about this before, where he's like, people thought it was funny, so I do it all the time now, and a lot of people hate it to fucking bits because it's a little annoying, but like it doesn't matter. So like that sort of stuff, I'm like, you got to do what you kind of got to do to get views, but then you can easily bring it too far and then go towards the like inflammatory statements and stuff. So like, in my content, I'll do a lot of like weird and wacky shit to like try and just get that engagement going a little bit more. But like, as long as I'm directing the comedy at myself and not, going after anybody else, then I'm like, it's fine. It's
right. As long as you're pointing at it like a concept or yourself, it's fine. As long as you're never punching down, it's fine.
Right,
unless it's V-shreds, in which case
there are certain people we can punch a little bit and still sleep well at night.
Sleep so good.
Kevin, was there like ever a click moment? Was there like a moment where you remember being like, I think I don't want to do this anymore? Or was it just kind of like over time, it just slowly, like you just got more and more uncomfortable?
There was a specific click moment that I remember. And that was, there was two. The one that made me start thinking about it was when there wasn't anything that anybody was talking about that week that was this big thing that I could, pigtail on or dogpile on top of. And I found myself looking for something to bitch about, like just trying to find something to dig up. And I was like, why am I doing that? That's not what this is supposed to be about. I'm supposed to be about cleaning up the bovine fecal matter in the fitness industry, the bullfit, if you will. Like, that's what I was supposed to be doing. I was like, I'm not being real. I'm not being authentic. And it bugged me for a couple of days. Then I made a video off of something that I found while I was looking for it. I'm not entirely sure what the video was, but it was something inconsequential that could have been just like a reasonable conversation. And I don't remember, because I took all those videos where I was attacking people that performed well, and I demonetized them, left them up for a year and a half, and then I have taken them and I've unlisted them. So somebody could still see if they want to hold me accountable, but like I don't want to be. I haven't profited from a single view on a single one of those videos in like 4 years. Then I made a video, and after I posted the video, I had a habit of posting them at night and then waking up in the morning. I dreaded looking at my comment section. Like that was the feeling I had inside. I was like, I didn't want to see the comments. And I wasn't like, because I've never been afraid of confrontation. I'm a retired Marine. Like, I'm not worried about verbal sparring. I'll crush you I will tongue lash you. I'm not worried about physical repercussions. The threats that people make, I find laughable. I was worried I was going to find a bunch of people who were dogpiling on the person that I had just talked shit about.
Yeah.
And every person who said something awful, I was responsible for that. And it just left this like feeling of sewage in my stomach.
That makes sense.
And I was like, I don't ever want to feel like that again. And it was at that point that I stopped making that kind of content.
Yeah, makes sense. I definitely, that's still something that I still like struggle with, you know, because no matter how much I try to be as open and honest and understanding, you know, there are people that are watching the video that I don't know exactly what they're going through. I don't know what they're going to pick up on what I'm saying. And, you know, I see comments that I'm just like, man, like that makes me sad that's what you got out of the video, you know, or that's the thing that you care about here. Or that's the only thing that matters. Right. Yeah. I get it.
I think some people though will always look for that, and it doesn't matter what you do. Like that's the little bit of pleasure they get out of life is trying to bring other people down to an extent. So like what I don't know. There's not really much you can do about that.
Yeah.
Just like the weird people that go around trolling Jackbox games on Twitch.
I'm unfortunately unfamiliar.
That's okay. But Jackbox is, I may as well describe for the audience if they don't know. Jackbox is this game. It's just a party game, like Cards Against Humanity type things. And you can play that online with people. And lots of people stream that. And there's like these kids that will just go around and they will join in your Jackbox if you're streaming, and they will start putting in like disrespectful, racist prompts, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just chaos,
That
man.
is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Back in the good old days, we used to just take baseball bats to mailboxes, and now
Throw rocks at windows.
good old fashioned vandalism.
Yeah.
It's gone now.
I miss the good old days.
I'm curious, right?
Renting a bunch of...
Well, no, you go. I was
just going to say renting a bunch of mailbox costumes, putting them over people's heads, and then hitting them with baseball bats.
That sounds painful. But like, I know like me and Kevin have been talking a ton about like what got us into like, but what about you guys, right? Like what made you want to make the kind of content that you guys make?
See, that's John.
What?
Thinking of others like a loser.
Well, I'm genuinely curious though, because it's so interesting to me as someone that's been doing it for like, again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but when I started, I wasn't thinking I'm going to make content, you know? And then like, was that a thing? Was that like, I feel like there's a missing link here and I want to fill it, or was it more just kind of happening? You know, I don't know. It's interesting to me because I'm freaking old. Like you guys said, I've been doing this for forever. And so I'm always curious, like someone that's been like newer into it, what got you into it, right?
I like how he says he's freaking old. He's the youngest one here.
I know, but it's
fun. Like a year younger than me. But you've been doing it a lot longer than I have. That's for sure. I've only, like a couple, 2-3 years? I'd say 2-3 years.
Wow. You've done great.
Yeah, in 2-3 years, it's wild. Look at this. For those listening, I have my silver play button from YouTube.
I have the old one.
Yeah,
he's got the original one. They used to make them out of silver.
I got that one in like 2017, I think.
I can't really see it from here. It looks like it's made out of wood.
Yeah, I mean it's like it's definitely looks. They look very different now.
Well, I thought that was super cool, and I've only been posting to YouTube for like 3 months.
Hell
so
yeah.
like
that's great because I've been doing it for 6 years. Well, I haven't really been very consistent, and I'm stuck at like 70,000 subscribers.
It's all off shorts now. Like the shorts are really what did it. Like the long form still like working on that. But anywho, I always had like a bunch of ideas for skits in my head for like dumb shit. I don't know, like that's where I started. Like I grew up watching like Mad TV, like that sort of shit.
Okay.
You know? So I always loved those like kind of skit comedy sort of things.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, man, I just want like an outlet for this. I wasn't thinking about like, I'm gonna be a famous influencer. I was like, I just want a place to make that. And for a couple people to go, that's funny. And that's really all I wanted. So I started making a bunch of skits around mostly fitness, just like dumb gym stuff. And then occasionally like nutrition stuff. And like, it did fine. Like it did okay. Some people thought it was funny. And then slowly started shifting just into more like nutrition. I was like, oh, people really need help. Let me do this. And then over time, people were like, oh, what about this? They're asking questions. What's this? What's that? And that's kind of when I saw all the debunking stuff. And people were like, man, what? I'm so concerned about eating bread because it's filled with blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it's fine. So that's and just kind of slowly just developed from that. I miss Mad TV.
Yeah,
that's my take.
I've been thinking about Stuart ever since you said that.
It's so good. Look what I can do,
dude. My family loved Stuart, man. Oh my god,
You Americans.
Bobby Lee, man, Bobby Lee.
Yeah.
Here we had kids in the hall.
Yeah, so stupid.
Yeah, I was gonna call out Kids in the Hall, but I didn't know
yeah.
if anybody else would recognize it.
So good.
What about you, Rob?
Well, I ended up posting just as an experiment of pushing my boundaries in my social anxiety disorder. And that's literally all it was just, okay, I don't know what content to post. You know what? I've been getting into fitness lately. Let's just post some sort of fitness thing. See if I can actually hit the button and to post without having a heart attack. And for whatever reason, it hit. So people liked it, and I started posting regularly until it started really taking off fast. And then that's when the anxiety kicked in and I disappeared for a year.
Yeah.
I started out posting more in regards to like weightlifting and exercising. But the more I post about that, and the more social media I actually looked at, the more I saw just everybody and their mother was posting workout videos. And what it came down to is like the same exercises, just in different orders, and and everybody saying, oh, this is the optimal exercise. Oh, this, you have to do this to be optimal. And I was like, look, if you need exercise content, literally just search exercise and you will get 5 million videos that are perfectly good. Pick one, do it. And then I started getting asked more about the nutrition stuff. And that I felt was a lot more interesting to talk about due to like just how many people are pushing the wrong thing entirely. It's hard to push the wrong thing in exercise. It's like, okay, yeah, you just do something you love. Do something you love. Yeah, move your body.
Right.
You guys want to get together and make a cookbook?
Yes.
Man,
I don't know if you want my help on that.
I'm on that page with John there. People are like, oh, cookbook. I'm like, man, I fucking like put beans and rice together, and I put like corn on a microwave potato, and I'm like, ooh, food. Like I don't
Sustenance.
That's exactly the unhinged kind of shit that I'm thinking about.
Maybe we
go.
go that route. Like, I'll go all in and be like, listen, I take this I take this pack of ramen, and here's what I do.
I think that,
I mean, that could be actually
folks
very
would
interesting. Yeah.
relate with that, yeah, because it's not okay. I need to go buy all this fresh food. I need to meal prep it this way. Just like one of the weird things that I do is I take steamable vegetables. I will steam them in the bag. I will pour the entire bag, all 3 to 4 servings, into a bowl, put a little bit of Parmesan cheese and Italian dressing on it, light Italian dressing, and then I will eat that straight.
That's a good
and
one.
people are like, oh, cool food hack. You're getting 10 to 12, sometimes 16, depending on the veggies, grams of protein. It's high in fiber. It's a quick snack that'll fill you up. And it's calorically, it's like 200, almost always less than 200 calories.
Right.
And for me, that's like spitting in the bucket of my daily intake.
And you're sitting there like, that's not a food hack. That's just me being lazy.
I've lost Rob again. Am I the only one?
No.
Yeah, we just guess what Rob says. It's fine. He's going in and out. Just take an educated guess on what it is. You'll probably be right. It's fine.
So we're not looking directly at the prop. I won't make eye contact with it again.
It's just interesting because it's usually like right when you start talking, it'll stop.
Yeah.
And then if you talk for a while, it's fine. But like right when you start, it's like, nah, this guy can't talk.
That's
He's not
amazing because
allowed.
like when I go to edit this, my end will be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And all the listeners will be like, hey, we heard him fine. You guys are just
Yeah,
losing
That's
it.
why I don't say anything.
good.
I just sit here and then I guess, and I'm usually right. It's fine.
Well, that's what's cool about this program because it's all it records your video,
Yeah,
and then
on your
so it's
end.
not. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to actually.
But
use
listen,
this.
the cookbook though, like I think just to, like, this is how, like, you know, you microwave a potato. This is how, like, you take these processed foods that people would usually scoff at, and then here's how you eat them and make them maybe slightly
Yeah.
more nutritious or whatever.
I
Like
have a
that.
name.
That's the type of cookbook I would do.
I have never done a day in the eating, or a day of eating, or whatever it is. Those are called, because what I
Clearly
eat,
you haven't.
it is fucking unhinged.
Yeah.
That's why you should do it though.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why. Like, why are you? What, dog food? And you're like, it's high in protein, bro. Like, you
I have a meal I make called dog food,
And it's literally dog food.
it looks like dog food. It looks like dog food in a bowl, but it is delicious, and it's high in protein, and it's high in micronutrients.
No, but this conversation though is important, and this is like something that I end up like having to talk to with my clients a lot, right? Is that one of my favorite things, I didn't make this up, but I use it all the time, so I might as well have just stolen it and made it my own anyways, is don't let perfect get in the way of good enough, right? And like so many people feel like their diet has to be perfect. Like, oh, I don't know if I should eat this, or like potatoes. I heard potatoes are terrible. And I'm like, dude, like your diet, like if you saw what I eat every day, and the reason I was like, I don't know about doing a recipe thing, because I literally almost eat the same thing every day, almost, right? Unless Amanda cooks, which is great, and she makes great meals, right? But for the most part, if I were like up until a few months ago when I didn't live with her, I pretty much ate protein oatmeal, some sort of sandwich or a salad for lunch, stir fry at night, and then maybe a snack. That was pretty much every single day, right? And like I always say, you don't have to do that. I understand I have some stuff probably going on that makes it so I do that, right? I don't expect that, but it's like if you find something that works and it's simple and you enjoy it, you don't have to be some 5-star chef. I think so many people think, oh, I want to lose weight, but I'm not good at cooking. That you don't have to be. You really don't have to be good at cooking. Like if you want to improve your cooking, great, but you don't have to be at all, right? And like anything it shows with, everyone's meals that they're making, right? It's like, don't let perfect get in the way of good enough. It's like something that I talk about a lot.
I actually made that up.
Okay.
Yeah, and you stole it from me.
Okay, I'll pay you royalties. I'm sorry.
No, but useful stuff, and I think that is what we need more of. We are moving away from the Opta Bros and stuff like that. We're understanding that we hyper-focused too much as a community on specific variations, etc. When you start obsessing about, well, the lat pull down doesn't bias the latissimus dorsi. It actually biases. Shut the fuck up. People have been using this to build their lats for longer than you've been alive. It works for the lats. And that was actually a video from a guy that I have now met and have a great deal of respect for, and he's cooled it off, JPG Coaching. He's a great dude, but he was caught up in the optimization, bro. Now it's TNF. And all of these people have their preference, but they state it as objective, inherently superior. And I think what we need more of is like just the attitude, guys, everything works a little bit. Like the more specific it is to what you're trying to do, the better it works. But all of this stuff works.
You know what doesn't work? Nothing.
Yeah.
So don't do that.
Or, V-Shred's 5 secret foods that'll turn you into a fat burning machine.
Yeah.
Oh, moringa powder. Wait, what's that? Did Harvard do a study on it? I'm super excited.
Oh my God, dude. That stuff, like the Harvard scientists, and I'm like, just think objectively. What does that even mean? Like, does that even mean anything? No.
It sounds cool.
Like, what does a Harvard scientist have to do about nutrition? Nothing. Like,
but they're
nothing.
smart. Smart people go Harvard.
But that's the problem, though, man. It's like that. It does, like, for some people, they're like, oh no, it's a doctor. It's like, a doctor in what though?
Right.
Oh, they're a chiropractor.
And what did the study actually say?
Yeah.
Like, they'll just say, doctors found that beetroot powder makes your dick big. Okay, so, I mean, if you take enough of it, that will cause some swelling. That's sort of, and that's as close to the truth as it actually is.
Yeah.
By over-circulating to the area, you're going to get swollen, not,
I
bigger.
love Super Beets. Super Beets is like, they make beet powder, and the claims and the commercials kind of feel like SNL parodies of something. Like, it's as powerful as eating 8 beets. Like, I'm just like, I love this. This is great.
We have a chiropractor in town, since John brought them up, who on his website claims through chiropractic to be able to cure substance abuse and depression. And I think that is so irresponsible. In writing.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. There's probably some laws against that, but like, who's going to
Oh,
really
it'd be-
check these days?
He'll probably just claim that chiropractic is his religion. And he
my
gets to make these assertions because he's healing with faith.
The chiropractor stuff is interesting because I feel like, I mean, I'm not super comfortable. Like this is weird. I've never like really deliberately gone to a chiropractor. The only time I ever did see
Accidentally.
Yeah, well, kind of. So I was.
Oh shit! Where am I?
No,
man, this isn't the Twizzler store,
dude. Well, because I'm not confrontational. Okay, I'm not right, and I was.
You walked in the wrong office and got an adjustment.
Dude, basically, I'm serious. Listen. All right, I have a story. I
No,
promise.
we're not listening. We're going to make up the story, and you're going to tell us if it's right or wrong.
But this
We're the
was
captain
when
now.
I was sponsored. I guess I won't say the name of the supplement company because that's kind of rude. But I was sponsored by a specific supplement company at the time, and they had flown me out to their headquarters to do content, whatever. And I was also I was doing a triathlon that was in the area, so we were making content about it all, right? And I go into to their gym, and every week they have a chiropractor there, and I was like, I really don't want to, but everyone was like, oh, he's here. Yeah, the chiropractor, like, we were so excited. Like, everyone loved him. And I was like, they're like, you have to try. And I didn't want to be like, no, I will not. So I was like, okay. But I told him, I was like, I don't want anything with my neck. Nothing with my neck, please. Like, I just am not comfortable. And he was like, okay, no problem. And then, he's doing the thing, whatever, just kind of like work on my body. And then he gets to my head and he was like, are you sure you don't, like, I really think it could help with blah, because, he was like asking me questions like, yeah, I have some blah, 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 whatever. And I was just like, again, I don't want to be like, no, I said no. So I was just like, okay. And he did the thing, but I just remember I was just like, and then he was like, how do you feel? And I was like, yeah, I feel pretty good. And they're like, dude, you're going to feel so much better. And then I wake up the next day, I'm like, I feel normal. Like, I think like so much of it is placebo to an extent, but it's like you want to feel better. Right? You want to believe that there was something that happened. And obviously I'm not saying that all of it is BS, right? But like, for me, it was just like, it was nice, but like, I've also had massages that were nice. You know what I mean? Like,
so acknowledging that chiropractic, by what evidence is available, is largely analgesic, meaning you can experience temporary relief of pain. I think if they just did that, they wouldn't have such a bad reputation for being quacks.
yeah.
But claiming to be able to correct posture through alignment there's very little supportive data. There's even less that suggests that, unless you go to the extremes, that variations or deviations in standard posture have a significant effect on your life, outside of like really sticking your head forward and the weight that puts on your lumbar spine over time. But an adjustment's not going to fix that. Sitting with proper posture, supporting your spine, building the musculature up around it, those are the things that are going to fix it. None of that happens in a chiropractic office.
We had a couple chiropractors on before, and they like actually good ones who were talking about, we try and relieve some pain, and then the steps they take after that is what actually helps them in the long term.
I respect those folks. There's one that locally that I go see because I have 5 herniated discs, and the only thing that makes me feel better is when a very large Samoan man turns me into a pretzel. That's it, right? I'll get relief for a day or two, but then it's right back to pain management. And this has been going on for 14 years. So I know it's not going to just suddenly get better because somebody popped my neck. Yeah. And those whack jobs that are wrapping towels around people's necks and then just yanking as hard as they can.
Talked about that, yeah.
Or like claiming they can like cure, and you said depression, but like cure cancer and cure, like, it's like, it's just crazy, man. And it makes you feel bad for the people that are like, dude, I am a chiropractor. I've even seen some chiropractors that like, they have a doctorate, but they're like, I don't call myself a doctor, because they're like, I see a massive difference between what, like, the training I had versus what someone else has done.
And then you got Dr. Berg.
Then you got Dr. Berg, of course. Oh, I love
that guy.
I need to do. I have a series that I got to get back to. Rate the Grifter. That I,
Dude,
I
yes,
agree.
you.
You
That
need to
sounds
get
like
back
a
to
great
need to get back on
series.
that.
Yeah.
Dr. Berg has been like kind of on my thinking on the next one. I'm kind of thinking about like how to bring up like the Scientology thing. Like I kind
Didn't
of
his
want to knock
son
him
come
down
out
points. What?
against him or something like that?
Did what happen?
Dr. Berg, didn't his son come out against him?
Yeah, no, his son
Talk-
is like he's a whack job. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, dude. I
Yeah.
saw a couple TikToks from him and I was like, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah, no, it's a whole thing, and then like he's got like he's a Scientologist, and I'm like, I want to deduct points from him, but he never talks about that. He does a very good job keeping that on the down low, so like very smart on his part. So maybe not. He does very. Oh, I love he does the best when he's like, what would happen if you took turmeric every day, and then he lists all these amazing things like it'll clear the pollution from your body and like all this bullshit,
Right.
and then like of course he sells turmeric like capsules for like $30 or whatever it is. And I'm like, I love that. That's as a grifter, fucking 10 out of 10 right there.
Today's
So-
problem that I just invented and the solution I came up with for the low cost of how much money do you have?
Exactly. People like he sells so many supplements, and like I've had people DM me like, "Hey, my dad or my relative or whoever buys his supplements. Look at this," and it's just a fucking countertop of just every supplement, thousands of dollars, and I'm just like staring at it in disbelief.
That's the terrifying thing to me is that even when that there is like an efficacious dose that you can take to have a statistically relevant effect, that effect is almost always less than 1%.
Yeah.
1% in changing or affecting or redirecting your life. TMG, for instance, I've been taking TMG because it helps with energy production, but it can also there's a couple of studies out. It can also positively affect your testosterone. I have been dealing with chronically low testosterone since a bad groin injury back in 2020 or 2021. I had a inguinal hernia that was 4 inches. My intestines would spill out into under my skin, and it would look like a human brain was just like sitting on top of my hip. It was, to this day,
That's metal,
I regret not taking pictures. I regret, because I've talked about it and I haven't been able to show anybody. It's gross as hell. And there's certain things I'd have to blur out because of where it's located.
That's the
It's
one
like,
of the,
no, that's not my intestines.
That's the only like
God
legit
loves
surgery
me.
I ever had was hernia. I had a hernia when I was like 5,
Yeah.
and it was like right in that area.
Yeah, the inguinal, way down there. Holy crap! I'm sorry, I saw my wife in my brain. What was I talking about?
The
Sorry, I
testosterone
interrupted
went.
So there is a measurable effect that TMG can have on your testosterone levels. It's about 7%. Okay, well, 7% of 300 is like 27. An increase of 27 points on your testosterone isn't going to do anything. So these people like Tom DeLauer who are talking about, it can have major effects on your testosterone.
I got really into Tom DeLauer when I started like looking into nutrition. Like I was like Bobby and like Tom DeLauer, and it was just like I had a bunch of different supplements. I was taking specific amino acids together at the right moment, like at specific times, and like trying to like optimize.
He's one of the people I made drama content about.
Oh, of
I
course.
skewered him. But he's largely changed his ways. He still does say some just absolutely vastly over-exaggerated, and he's much more excited about things like TMG and NAD plus and NMN than he should be. They do have an effect. Like I take 1,000 milligrams to 1,500 milligrams of NMN and TMG, but that's because I get energy and I get endurance out of it. I am not looking at my hormone profile and saying this has a statistically necessary, or not statistically, this has a statistically relevant difference, but it does not have an impact. And we spend so much money on shit that makes such a small difference in our health. And like everything costs time, your lifespan, money, or aggravation. So if you're like double dipping, it costs you time and money. Like if it's costing you all this money, then you don't have time to do the things that would make you much more healthy, like cleaning up your sleep hygiene.
Yeah, it's a sleep. I was just about to say.
Yeah, I had a glass of water with dinner. Is it as fun as fucking root beer? I would love a Barks right now.
That's great.
But I'm a little dehydrated, so I needed water. Like I just, and that crap is largely free. Sleep hygiene.
Yep.
you will
But
fix
it's
more
boring,
problems.
It's as you know, it's
boring.
not exciting. It's not.
Yeah.
It's
No.
not like you make a video. You want to make a video about a new supplement that Harvard had a new study on. That's what you want. That's the exciting part.
See, Harvard's old news, man. I like to hear about what MIT is talking about now.
MIT.
all right?
Oh,
MRT is still socially awkward. They don't talk to.
I want to know what University of Phoenix is up to.
Yeah.
That's what's really on the rise.
That
What is
hurt.
my local community college talking about? All right, that's what I need.
That we should make like just parody videos where we just like say obscure fucking like colleges and like just the ridiculous things they claim.
You know what? That's what we need to do in the Unhinged cookbook or the Imperfect cookbook. I think something to that effect. We should just like have random, obviously satirical quotes about the efficacy of a specific meal from the most.
Yeah, we need to mention like rats and metabolism and just a bunch of buzzwords and just throw it in there till it makes no sense.
Yeah, dude.
You know,
You're like,
study
just like,
conducted by East Rutherford Community College.
yeah, or like eating 3 packets of ramen a day increases your testosterone, and this is coming from O'Doul's, College of the Blind or something like that. It's just like
College for Professional Mimes and the Blind.
The University of Maine finds inserting 1 sprig of asparagus in either end boosts metabolism.
I live right next to you, you dick. There's at least 3 or 4 smart people there.
yeah,
None of them are staff, though.
yeah, it is what it is.
That's great. Well,
No, but
I
it's
want to say,
been-
I was just going to say that, like, I want, especially before we go, I wanted to, because you guys have been doing this at least for a little while. Like, what do you think is like one positive change that social media has gone over, and then like one negative change, and one thing that's like, oh, this is actually maybe a little bit better than it used to be. We've learned this or whatever, and then one thing you're like, ah, shit, we fucked up there.
I think for me, the answer is relatively easy, and it's the same answer for both. Is just the access to knowledge and information. I think is good because you could find out whatever you want, but the issue with that is that there are basically what we've been talking about this whole time, right? Is there are people that know that that's the case and they use it against other people, right? So they intentionally make things more difficult, and they like overcomplicate stuff, and they focus on big words that might be confusing to get people's attention and usually money, right? I'd say those are like, it's the access is great, but it's also bad.
That is a really good one, and you stole my gimmick of the answer being both. Because I was originally going to say the anti-bullying sort of functionality of algorithms and software that they use to, like, I only every once in a while I'll look at my filtered comments and I'm like, oh wow, there's some just terrible people out there. I don't even see them. That nobody in the community ends up seeing them. For a while, I was just like, I have the most positive community out there. It's just amazing. I never see a crappy comment. And then I clicked the filtered comments and I was like, oh yes, I do.
Oh, there's John. There.
Well, see, they filter your comments because you're constantly sexually harassing me. You've resorted to DMing me the nasty things. But I will say that the negative thing there is that it took people exactly 2 weeks to figure out how to abuse those. And through things like mass reporting, they will shut down legitimate sources of information that they just happen to disagree with. So I think there needs to be some calibration there on how those things function. There's not enough human beings who are reviewing the decisions made by an algorithm. And that's done in the pursuit of profit. But when somebody has your entire channel, this never happened to me, but I've seen it happen to people, has their entire channel taken away because a group of really just terrible people disagree with the message of empathy or compassion, and they don't like your political views. I've watched people have their entire platform taken away because they were mass reported, and you can't appeal that to a human. Like, I think that's a failing.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair.
But the thing I love to see, I would say, is the production value and how easy it is to make really high quality looking content. If you want to, is so much easier than ever.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody realizes that every single one of my videos, no matter what level of production value there has been filmed on my phone, edited on my phone, and published from my phone.
That's
I have
so cool,
never
man. Yeah.
had a camera.
And imagine with AI, like the future of that, like how it's going to advance rapidly. We're going to see that, but just on steroids.
Apropos to the conversation. Well done, sir. Well done.
We've gone full circle.
Anything else that you guys got? Anything you want to talk about?
I mean, I can always find stuff to talk about.
Brother, getting me to shut up is the problem.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, there's the issue is I have a lot of thoughts, but I also understand that a lot of them are very half baked, so I try not to share them too much. So I have things that I feel that I don't say.
I'm going to attack my dear friend John.
Oh no.
Because a lot of what holds him back is the fear of how it's going to be received. And he is just shy of getting to the point in his personal development where he accepts an appropriate amount of responsibility for what he says and how it's received, because it is felt, encoded, transmitted, received, decoded, and felt. And you are only responsible for 3 of those things. He is so careful in the way that he portrays a message, because not because he's afraid, in my opinion, I'm not you, not because you're so afraid that someone will disagree with you or there will be a discussion or argument about it, because you have a genuine care that you don't want someone to feel bad for something that you have said. And I'm a little different and I feel that it's not okay to bully or hurt people's feelings for the sake of doing so. But if a little bit of discomfort is the key that unlocks the door to their development, then it's okay. I am very comfortable saying things that make people feel uncomfortable, like calling out John's inner turmoil on a podcast that can be viewed by thousands or tens of thousands of people. He's a genuinely kind human being that has a lot of experience with shedding a lot of weight and keeping it off successfully for a decade. And I would heartily, he's one of 3 or 4 people that I would 100% say to anyone, I recommend this human being. So I've got a lot of respect for him. And John, as young as he is actually one of the reasons that I decided to pull the trigger on making content. I was like, man, if this cherub-faced kid can put himself out there.
Now I have a mustache, so you can't see
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah.
It's so thick, man. It's thick.
I did not see it until
What do you
pointed
mean?
it out.
You probably couldn't. You mean you couldn't see me behind it?
I
That's what
thought it
you
was
mean.
pen.
I don't know what you guys are talking about, and I'm not even crying right now. It's just hot in here, and I'm sweating from my eyes.
Yeah, you've been walking on that pad for about an hour.
Yeah. No, but like I mean I don't even know how to respond to that. I appreciate it. I'm sure that there's quite a bit of truth in it. But I also like part of like what I was mentioning is just like there's things that I have opinions on that I know I don't know enough about to say something that is worth listening to other than just guy yells at cloud. You know what I mean? Like just like the other stuff that's going on right now, because I'm in the US, right? And like everything that's going on with that, with the Department of Health and how that's being ran. Like I have opinions, but I also know that I just don't have enough information to where I could really feel like I'm saying much other than just complaining. You know what I'm saying? So like that's kind of what I was like referencing with that, because I was just like right before we started recording, I was having a conversation with Amanda, my girlfriend, and talking about some of the stuff that's going on. And it's just like, it's like the Wild West right now, man. It's crazy. It's wild.
It is. And it's really disconcerting. We talked about it, I think at the beginning. I don't know if we were officially on air or how this works. But we're entering a phase where we're going to have less access to the things that we have become dependent upon to make us healthy in an increasingly sedentary lifestyle. We're going to have to nobody's going to save us. We're going to have to put that effort on ourselves to become a little more active, not because we need to reach some aesthetic ideal, but because activity helps your heart. It helps your bone mass. It helps you become more resilient to disease and to sickness and to surviving those things that you can't avoid. We can mitigate so many circumstances, if not eliminate even some of them, just through being a little bit more mindful about our health and taking care of ourselves. We're going to have to take more preventative action. It's going to be necessary. And it's going to be a very difficult, hard adjustment for a lot of people who have Ozempic. Hey, sweet. Now we've literally got a thing I can take to help me lose weight. And while that might be mildly controversial, it's not even going to be an option for most people as we continue to aggressively decentralize healthcare, push towards privatizing it. I believe that healthcare is a right. I think in any civilized society, you are adequately judged by how you deal with your sick, your poor, and your elderly, and those on the fringe. And as one of the most resource-dense nations on the planet, we could fix it right now, but we're headed in the opposite direction. And that scares the shit out of me. For my family, you know, I just got my mom and dad back on the right track, but they're very old, and they were very unhealthy for a very long time. So they're still dependent on some medications just to get to like a place where they can conduct a normal, independent life. Take that away, I'll be very upset.
Yeah.
What I will say, I just want to recommend someone if you're like people who like want to keep up with all of that. I cannot recommend Dr. Jess enough. Jessica, and I'm gonna butcher. I don't know. Her last name is Nurick. It's Knurick.
I am already following Dr.
Yeah, no, she's amazing. She's like
Yeah.
really giving a lot of information of what they're doing, what they're trying to do, and like and all of that. So I would recommend her. You know, TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff. She's great for all that.
She strikes me as very informed.
She's her PhD in nutrition, a dietitian. Yeah. Normally people with that sort of stuff kind of have some idea of things. And, you know, people who have no education in nutrition probably shouldn't be running things. But like, hey, that's just my weird take.
Excuse me. If you do your own research, you know more than those university elites that have been brainwashed.
Oh,
exactly.
I did a video, just recorded it today. Like you were talking about how, like, you know, I was saying like I like to bring the humor into it, and there's like a guy just spouting about Pure Protein or Premier Protein, the drinks, and how they're terrible for you because they're filled with ingredients. And he commented, it's very funny. He literally didn't say a single ingredient. He's like all this bad stuff. And in the comments he put, you know, if you don't believe me, do your own reservations. And he just misspelled research. And I was like, you know, I took him out on his offer, and I booked a 2-top for my wife and I at our local Indian place. I'll let you know how it goes. It's a great place. Like, it's just like, you have to just laugh at that stupid shit. Because what else do you do? Like, I do my own reservations. I make sure.
Man, I have plenty of reservations. You sound stupid. Oh my God. Yeah. I have never heard the phrase "do your own research" uttered by someone who was passingly familiar with research.
Yeah.
Fair.
So is that it or what?
I've only been on 4 or 5 times, but there's this moment every time.
I think
I keep cutting out every time I try to talk, so I'm just like, fuck it.
I know.
Rob gave up on that.
I understand, Rob. I feel bad for you, man. That's
we all
so
feel
frustrating.
bad for Rob.
Yeah.
He's in Canada. He cuts out.
Hey, I found my pencil. Okay, things are looking up.
Now, was that him saying it again, or did we just get the signal repeated from the beginning of the video?
It just took an hour and a half to come back, you know.
We always say don't be your worst, and if you want to know the worst, it's Rob's situation. That's the worst.
The worst is in the room with us.
Look at that, and don't be that.
Oh man.
Hey, wasn't that a great time listening to the podcast? You were just, I'm assuming you were just listening to in moderation. So if you go ahead and hit the 5-star button, is that a thing? The like button?
That's a thing.
No.
Yep.
The like button
5
on YouTube.
stars.
If you're on YouTube, hit the like button, not the dislike button. That's a bad button. The
Bad
like
button.
Bad
Don't
button.
touch.
Hit all the other buttons. The share. You can go check out
all those things.
Subscribe. Go check out our Patreon.
Yeah.
We do have a Patreon. It's free to join if you want, or you could give us some money. That'd be really cool, like $1 or $2. It doesn't matter. Whatever you have.
That's where you'll find all the news for this.
We're super appreciative. You can find all sorts of other stuff there. We do giveaways, I think, sometimes. You know,
Sometimes.
all that. Yeah, absolutely. So, peace.